Hey guys, this is Ryan. I'm coming at you with a meta discussion for Gbt1, and a friend of mine suggested that I would do this. Jaden, where probably some of you've come to see me from my first video, or he's come to suggest me to y'all. So right now, I'm kind of giving my 2 cents about it. Now, this doesn't mean that everything I said should be taken as, oh, like, yes, we should do this. Take it with a grain of salt to what your playstyle, what your meta environment is like. I know at my locals out in Rowlett, Texas, we're very competitive, so we tend to see some good meta decks and some people who do play the decks really well. But at other places I know, they don't have the cards to necessarily play meta decks, so they play a bunch of stuff. So just kind of take it with a grain of salt to where you're at in the game and where your locals are at. And really just kind of a baseline. I'm not just looking at the stuff that came out of the boxes. I'm looking at the stuff that is also came from the trial decks. Now, decks, and this isn't just going to be like some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list. This is just going to be the broad discussion of decks. If you were to tell me to take it to a tournament and I had the choice, these would be in order of what I would choose. The decks I would really consider strongly, just depending upon what kind of area it would be. The top 3 I would probably consider would be the X, Royal Paladin, and OTT. Those aren't in a particular order, that's just how they came to me. Now, of course, the Oracle Think Tank guy puts OTT in there. That's not biased in any way, but hear me out. Both the X and Royal Paladin, since ever, have been good competitive decks. We've seen it through, with Kagura through the End, Rebirth, the Great, Royal Paladin through, Seekers. I can't remember another deck. Right, old Alfred from the beginning, Majesty Lord Blaster. The decks both have a consistent theme in the game of doing well. Now here, the decks are good to kind of give us a baseline of what we can maybe expect the next format or two. And probably what you see people playing more is the X than ThinkSaver, Ultimile, or Ultimile something else. But the point of it is that both decks do really well on their own, and they're good decks on their own. Now, my only complaint about the X, besides having to dig up the stuff, is that I feel the rear guards for the X, besides Burning Horn and the grade 1s, are really dependent upon what your opponent does. You want your opponent to play rear guards so that you can blow them up and get your pluses off their rear guards being killed. Now, does that mean you can play Burning Horn, activate skill to put End or X to the bottom of the deck and just not blow something up? Yeah, you can. For me, I don't like that. Maybe that's just my error with the deck, where I wouldn't be able to do so well with the X, but I'm totally fine with that. I just don't like to waste rear guards abilities when I don't have to. Royal Paladin seems like a deck that it has the same issue kind of, but it's more dependent upon you using your other rear guards to help further your game state and further your plan. For instance, the trial deck card, that's really good. When you boost it and you're at Generation Break 1, you get to call another rear guard out. Yeah, you can play it and you can use it to attack rear guards, but your main goal is to put it behind a booster and to attack the vanguard get another rear guard out, and just do banana things. Oracle Think Tank. Oracle Think Tank is a deck that I said this in my first video. It's a very defensive deck. Your main goal with the deck is that you're wanting to outgrind your opponent and let their attacks. You want to be able to take attacks, but also be able to still put out a good offense enough to push them towards the game. Now the problem is, I think this just comes with any other deck, is that if you don't get some of the pieces you need, then you really can't advance the game state more. And Tom tends to be one of those pieces that you need with your 8Ks. Now, I am still trying out new things with the deck. I have some suggestions and some ideas I've been watching through some other videos, so maybe down in the future, once I get more comfortable with the deck, like there'll be another deck profile where I discuss more about some of the changes and some of the things I wasn't seeing about it, but that's another video for another discussion. Nova Grapplers they would be in the, if I didn't have access to any of the first decks, Nova Grapplers and Gear Chronicle would be in the same pick. I think Nova Grapplers are really good, and I've seen a lot of one of my good friends play the deck really well at my locals, and he's done like consistently well getting at the top with it. I think this new generation one is really one of those underdogs that people are looking at and really just trying to see what can we do with risers, because risers are just like risers are whatever. Risers are just, and this is not hating on any of the riser players, but sometimes I feel like if you just play Mega Flare with Cat Butler, it's just like, seriously, this is not this. Okay, that's fine. That's my soapbox about Cat Butler. But however, I think the new generation Stride stuff is meant to work with exclusively with the new generation Stride stuff. That it really, it could probably do well if you mix it with the Razor stuff, but the extreme battlers are just good on their own. Like, they're really good, and Victor and Victoplasm are really good. And if I was like a total aggro, like I just want to punch Vanguard, that's the deck I'd want to play. Gear Chronicle, my opinion on Gear Chronicle right now is that there's not a real direction on how you could take Gear Chronicle. Yes, you can. You do have the ability to rewind and tuck units back into the deck, or you have the I'm going to punch you, you can't guard game. Let's see how good you're going to guard right now. I think if there was one good way to play Gear Chronicle, I would like it to just be a tuck deck where you're sending rear guards back to the deck to where your opponent can't access them, or at least not for a long time. But I think once we see more support from them, we're going to see cards like this be used really well, because it's not just going to get plus 3k one, maybe two times a game. Oh yeah, there's one other deck I wanted to throw in there with Nova Grapplers and Gear Chronicle, and that is Neo Nectar. Now, you didn't really think you'd hear Neo Nectar with the tier 2 list. Well, the truth is Neo Nectar right now is a good deck, because I think part of it is that some people, the hard counter to Neo Nectar is Kagero, and that's kind of where it's at. It can do well in an area that Kagero does not thrive. But if you can let Neo Nectar get out of control in a game, then good luck to you, because Relonculus gives, for those of you who played cards like Arboros Dragon, and I'm going to be doing a video discussion later on Neo Nectar. If you let copies of cards stay on the field, Relonculus is just going to power them up like crazy. And the stride is good right now, and Neo Nectar is just going to get so much better. It's already good right now, but there is so much more potential that it has, especially with cards like Sour Slicer and Flower Screens. Now, some underdog decks that, if you're just like, I'm not really wanting to play meta, I don't want to really like invest in those type of decks. Like, I just want to play something just to play something. Some good decks that if you just happen to have access to them right now, I think Dimension Police with the new Legion, I think it's really good. Just for the turn sake of break riding, being able to possibly pop 2 shields or 2 perfect guards off of, revealing a grade 3. I think any of the quote-unquote top tier decks that you would have seen in the past, such as Raging Form. I think Raging Form. There's other decks in there too, and just any of the top tier decks. Maybe not necessarily Chaos Breaker, maybe, but Chaos Breaker could be in there. I think if you were just to give those decks, bring those decks out and maybe change the trigger lineup a little bit, then maybe they would do well in tournaments, just because it's an unexpected factor. Now, decks maybe like Spectral Duke or Phantom Blaster, like the original Phantom Blaster, maybe not so much, because they're kind of older cards, like really like set 2 cards, and 10Ks. But if you were to maybe try out, like one of the decks I'm thinking about trying out on my locals in a week or two is Pale Moon with Lukier and the Strides. Now, some of you are thinking, well, what good is that? You're just going to deck out quicker. Well, yeah, I might deck out a little bit too quickly, but the point is that, in my hand, I'm probably going to have extra grade 3s. The turn, when I'm not at limit break, I can stride to allow me to have a turn with triple drive check. I can still attack with rear guards because I'll still have the Silverthorn name. And if I'm a Cray Elemental, then they'll still get the effects if they require Pale Moon. And honestly, it's just something new. I mean, sometimes people say that this game's like really stale with clan fight and being a thing, and that we're only restricted to these clans, but there are still some possibilities that we can do. It's out of our creativity that we have things like Sweep Command Dragon. I know people are going crazy about that card. I played that card when set 11 dropped. And it's a real gimmick, but it took people to try something new to realize that this gimmick works, and it works good, and we're going to see that in GB2 when Narukami comes out, that Sweep Command is going to be good in that deck. Is it going to be like the best thing? Well, only time will tell. It's done well in Japan so far. But so far, guys, that's my discussion on the meta right now. If you have any questions, comments, even continue on this conversation. What do you think's going to do well in this format? When Cosmic Roar comes out, are Dimension Police going to jump past, Royal Paladin DX? I mean, are we going to see something? We're going to see something different. And that's up for you to decide. So in the comments down below, comment, rate, subscribe, tell your friends, give me some new suggestions. I'm happy to do whatever. And honestly, y'all have a good day.